The scene opens during the annual Tomato Festival in Spain. Crowds flood the streets and throw tomatoes in every direction. Red pulp covers the buildings, the roads, and the people. In the middle of the chaos, Noel moves through the crowd. She's disguised as a journalist, holding a microphone followed by a fake camera crew. But she's not there to report. She's an undercover agent tracking a known Russian trafficker named Viktor Gradov. Using facial recognition tech, her team scans the crowd. They believe they found him, but the match isn't clear. Then they notice something strange. Two more men appear nearby, identical to the first. It's a decoy setup. The real Gradov is hiding among lookalikes. The team requests a high-security uplink to the Echelon surveillance system. They're granted 60 seconds. But before they can act, the situation unravels. Snipers open fire from rooftops. Armed men push through the crowd. Panic spreads as civilians run for cover. One by one, Noel's team members are killed. She's the only one left. A masked attacker charges at her. She fights back, holding her ground. Meanwhile, Gradov's men breach Echelon servers and extract classified intelligence. Noel spots the hacker and tries to intercept him, but before she could reach him, an armed man shot her. The impact throws her to the ground. Gradov's men escape with the data, and the mission fails. In London, Prime Minister Sam Clarke watches news coverage of U.S. President Will Derringer arriving for a diplomatic visit. The president, once a famous Hollywood actor, is welcomed with heavy security and global media attention. Before dawn, Sam goes for a morning run. An aide informs him about the failed mission and that Agent Noel is still missing. No deaths are confirmed, but no survivors have checked in either. Later, President Will and his family attend a formal event with the British royal family. Cameras capture every move. Then he heads to Downing Street for a private meeting with the Prime Minister. Tension is immediate. Neither man seems pleased to be there. Will suspects Sam still holds political grudges, especially for backing his rival in the last election. After a security briefing, both are updated on the Gradov incident and Noel's disappearance. They prepare for a press conference but are instructed to avoid discussing the operation. With no confirmed facts and rising international pressure, both governments want to avoid blame. When the cameras roll and the press conference begins, the two men announce a strategic partnership between the United States and the United Kingdom, centered around energy security and mutual political interests. They explain that a formal proposal will be brought before NATO in the coming days, framing the announcement as a major step forward in global cooperation. But the moment quickly derails as reporters begin asking off-topic questions about Will's acting career, Sam's personal life, and other distractions. Eventually, a journalist presses them about the failed mission to capture Russian arms dealer Viktor Gradov. And while Sam maintains composure and sticks to the pre-approved talking points, Will veers completely off script, revealing far more than he should and making grand promises he has no authority to fulfill. To make matters worse, Will throws in a quote from one of his old action movies. After the press conference, both leaders meet in private. The conversation quickly turns into an argument. Each blames the other for how badly things went. Their aides soon confirm the obvious. The event failed to show unity. Public response is negative. The communications team suggests a new plan. They propose that both should fly together to Trieste in Air Force One and do a staged photo at the airstairs to project a stronger alliance. Neither leader likes the idea, but both agree. It helps their public image and supports their individual agendas. They arrive at the airport on Air Force One. Cameras click as they pose with forced smiles. The short trip is carefully planned to control media coverage and shift the narrative. During the flight, Sam stays focused on Noel's disappearance. Will tries to lighten the mood. He tells Sam he should consider finding a partner. Staying single too long, he says, makes a leader vulnerable to gossip. Marriage, according to him, brings stability and public trust. Sam isn't interested. He keeps the conversation cold. Then he adds that he's never seen any of Will's movies. He prefers serious films. Will takes the comment personally. He asks if Sam believes he's better than everyone else. The tension deepens, and neither man backs down. While the verbal sparring continues inside the aircraft, an unseen threat is already in motion, as one of Viktor Gradov's operatives, disguised as a chef, quietly moves through the halls of Air Force One, handing out snacks while making his way toward the control room. The agent's true objective isn't hospitality, but sabotage. And as he approaches the flight crew, he quickly takes them out and transmits the exact location of the plane to Gradov's team, setting into motion a targeted aerial assault. Outside, the enemy aircraft begins to close in, And inside the presidential cabin, Will and Sam remain locked in a heated argument about power, privilege, and how each of them has achieved their current position. Midway through the exchange, Will happens to glance out the window and immediately spots an unfamiliar plane flying far too close, triggering an urgent response as both leaders rush into the corridor to confirm what's happening. Security personnel quickly intervene and order the two men into the presidential office for their safety, just as attempts to communicate with the enemy aircraft begin to fail, with warning signals going unanswered and system malfunctions cutting them off from external contact entirely. As the enemy aircraft holds position directly in front of Air Force One, Sam happens to spot the plane's chef heading into a restricted zone and immediately senses something is wrong when he notices blood on the man's uniform. Before he can react, a missile slams into the aircraft, rocking the fuselage violently and throwing passengers and crew off balance, cutting off any chance to raise an alert. An agent quickly reaches the presidential office and secures the doors just as another explosion strikes one of the engines, sending vibrations through the floor. It becomes clear that the plane is under coordinated attack, forcing onboard security to respond with countermeasures. But instead of slowing the assault, the defense fire only provokes a stronger response. Guided missiles begin hammering the wings and cabin exterior and reducing visibility inside. The president and prime minister struggle to remain inside as the plane continues to break apart midair. Inside Air Force One, the head of security leads Sam and Will to the parachutes. They discover the chef has stolen one and set the rest on fire. The agent manages to salvage two and gives one to each leader. He tells them they're flying over Belarus and must head to a CIA safe house in Warsaw. They can't use phones or reveal they're alive. With no time left, he pushes them out. Sam's chute opens cleanly. Will's is scorched, but deploys partially, sending him crashing into the trees. Both survive, now stranded behind enemy lines. After landing safely, Sam finds Will suspended in a tree by his torn parachute and tells him they'll need to cover nearly 25 kilometers on foot to reach a safe zone. Stranded deep in Belarusian territory, they can't risk rescue, and their survival depends on staying hidden. Sam knocks Will's phone from the tree with his shoe, destroying the only tracking device they have. Once Will is down, they begin walking. When Will starts gasping for breath, Sam asks if he's okay, but Will brushes it off with sarcasm, telling him to stop obsessing over his breathing. As they move forward, they spot the smoking wreckage of Air Force One in the distance, realizing a diplomatic trip has now turned into an international crisis. They don't yet know who's behind the attack, but both understand that survival is now the priority. In Italy, the U.S. Vice President assumes command. She submits biometric verification, triggering a system reboot of Echelon. The moment her credentials go live, Victor breaches the platform and takes control. In Belarus, Sam and Will steal a car to avoid exposure. Will hotwires it, but the noise draws villagers. He tries calming them with movie lines, but no one recognizes him. One man grabs his watch. The group attacks. Will flails, mostly useless, while Sam uses combat training to hold them off. Will breaks a bottle by accident. Someone catches fire from a cigarette, and the situation escalates. A woman appears, fires a warning shot, and scares the villagers off. The men claim to be Canadian, and she agrees to help. She hides them in her sheep truck and drives toward the border. At the checkpoint, the woman sacrifices a sheep to avoid suspicion. Once in Poland, Will offers her his watch in thanks, but she declines, saying she knows who they are. They head for a CIA safe house, unaware Victor has already tracked them. He immediately sends a team to Warsaw. At the CIA safe house in Warsaw, Sam and Will are met by Marty Koma, the local station chief, who's visibly relieved to find the president still alive. A longtime fan of Will's old movies and a committed patriot, Marty wastes no time letting them inside. He admits there's no protocol for this situation. No one ever planned for a sitting U.S. president to survive a full-scale attack on Air Force One. Marty briefs them quickly. NATO headquarters have been hit, and in the chaos, over 20,000 classified documents have leaked, files from decades of covert operations. Trust between allies is collapsing just days before a major summit. Elizabeth favors diplomacy. Simone pushes for immediate, decisive action, warning that hesitation could cost lives. Back in Warsaw, Will argues they should go public. Sam insists that staying hidden is the only way to survive. Marty tries to call the command but finds no signal. Seconds later, alarms go off. Victor's mercenaries breach the building with explosives and gunfire. Marty leads them to a weapons room, hands them instructions, and points out a poster that hides a secret exit. He puts on a record and charges into the fight alone. Using traps and security cameras, Marty holds off the intruders. But once they destroy the cameras, he's forced to move. During the final wave, he's shot and wounded. He orders Will and Sam to escape and pulls a grenade pin to take out the last attackers, but the enemy kills him before it detonates. The leaders follow Marty's plan, find the poster, and tear it down to reveal a tunnel. They crawl through and emerge in an alley. Just as two agents corner them, a speeding police car runs towards the agents. They try to shoot the car and the driver, but the driver jumps out and the car crashes into the attackers, knocking them aside and giving Will and Sam a chance to escape. The driver who jumped out is Noel. Sam is shocked. He asks her how she is alive, and she asks him the same. Then Noel explains she survived the Spain mission thanks to body armor. Since then, she's been targeting Viktor Gradov's allies across Europe. They leave the alley. In the car, Noel confirms that Gradov is behind the data leaks and attacks. His motive? Revenge. Years ago, his son's nuclear weapon project was shut down by global forces. The loss of that legacy sent Gradov into hiding, plotting retaliation. Will suspects someone inside the government is helping Gradov. He points to Sam's assistant, who arranged their joint flight and believes they both died in the crash. Noel promises to get them to Trieste for the NATO summit, where they'll be protected. They board the last train into the city. By morning, the train crosses Austria. Sam and Noel talk briefly about the people she lost. Their conversation touches on their past. Sam admits he entered politics to build a future with her, but they wanted different lives. Suddenly, two armed men appear and turn on each other. One survives. Arthur, who helped Gradov hack Echelon. Wounded, he confirms there's a mole in the US government. Arthur writes a code on Will's hand. It activates a program that can trace the mole through Gradov's comms. Before dying, Arthur warns that enemies are already waiting at the next station. He tells them to reach a secured site in Croatia to complete the mission and stop what's coming next. Sam jumps off the train first, followed by Noel and Will. They hit the ground hard and vanish into the woods. Behind them, NATO faces collapse. Vice President Elizabeth urges unity, but many leaders blame the US for the data leak. Some pull support. Noel steals a car and drives them to Croatia. Following Arthur's directions, they find a quiet apartment building. Inside is a secure vault with a computer system, locked behind encryption. Before they can access it, Victor's kill squad arrives. Noel hands a duffel bag of weapons to Sam and tells him to hide. He refuses and insists that she go inside with Will. Sam holds the door as the attackers reach the stairwell. He takes out several enemies, even drops a grenade and throws the whole bag. But they keep coming. Inside the vault, Noel activates the system and finds the mole, Simone, the president's aide, who's been feeding intel to Victor for over a year. Suddenly, a massive claw crashes through the wall, latches onto the vault itself. Sam tries to break the wires, but with a violent pull, the entire vault is ripped from the ground and hauled into the sky. While both Noel and Will are hanging inside the vault, Victor launches a missile. The blast hits Sam's floor. Will and Noel watch the fire spread. Sam is gone. Noel and Will jump onto a building's roof and escape through the smoke. While the world continues to mourn the presumed deaths of both the American president and the British Prime Minister, Victor places a secure call to Simone. He informs her that the mission is complete. But Simone, to clear loose ends, orders one of Victor's operatives to eliminate Victor. Before they can act, Victor realizes and kills them both. Meanwhile, Noel and Will use a small motorboat to move and avoid any detection. Both remain shaken by the apparent loss of Sam. For Noel, the grief is personal. The next morning, Will contacts Vice President Elizabeth through a secure line. He asks her to send the Beast, the president's limo, and reveals that Simone has been the traitor inside the administration. But inside, sitting an operative who works directly under Elizabeth. His objective is clear: neutralize the president before he reaches the NATO summit. He reveals the whole truth. Elizabeth is the one who's been orchestrating the conspiracy from the beginning. Simone was only a decoy. The vice president used her to misdirect suspicion and shield herself from exposure. Noel and Will fight back immediately, taking control of the rear of the limo. They are outnumbered as other vehicles take fire. Suddenly, a fire truck barrels into the scene, smashing through the enemy blockade. It's Sam Clark. Sam survived the missile blast. With little time to spare, he climbs onto the limousine and grabs the wheel to take over the chase. Will moves to support Noel. Enemy vehicles return. Missiles target the limo. Noel gives directions. Sam weaves through narrow streets, barely avoiding damage. Will and Noel coordinate their defense, returning fire and disabling several enemy cars. The final pursuer gets close. Will remembers a backup supply of synthetic blood in the vehicle. He throws the entire packet at the windshield of the enemy car, blocking the driver's vision, and crashes. They arrive at NATO headquarters. The limo pulls to a stop. Delegates inside the building freeze. Most had assumed the leaders were dead. Inside, the assembly is already in session. Several European nations are announcing their withdrawal from NATO. The vice president prepares to speak. But then Will and Sam walk in. Both address the room. Will outlines the conspiracy. He names Elizabeth as the central figure behind the plot. He details her use of Simone, her connection to Viktor Gradov, and how she exploited Echelon to manipulate global intelligence. Elizabeth refuses to back down. She insults Will and mocks his career. She questions how a former actor can lead a nation. Then she delivers her final argument. America has given too much, she says. The world takes and gives nothing back. But her anger reveals something more personal. She isn't just angry at Will's success. She resents his popularity. Before she can continue, a single gunshot echoes through the hall. Elizabeth drops. Screaming erupts. Viktor Gradov steps into the chamber. His mercenaries open fire. Chaos explodes. Delegates dive for cover, but some are hit before they can escape. Noel re-enters with 2 rifles and tactical gear. She lays down fire. She clears paths for survivors. She moves fast and keeps pressure on Viktor's forces. Sam and Will follow behind, helping push forward. Viktor retreats to the roof. A helicopter is waiting. Noel intercepts the path, and both are grounded. Will and Sam race after her. They won't let her face the end alone. Mercenaries regroup. More fighting breaks out on the upper floors. Viktor Gradov races toward the rooftop, hoping to escape by helicopter. Sam and Will follow close behind. Noel stays behind to deal with the last guard on the main floor. At the top of the stairs, Sam and Will run into another mercenary. Will raises his weapon, but it's empty. The Russian is brutal and trained, but the 2 leaders work together. After a tough struggle, they take him down and continue toward the rooftop. Viktor appears again, firing from above. Will steadies himself and fires back. His shot hits, forcing Viktor to retreat. Down below, Noel finishes her own fight. She takes down the final enemy in a brutal brawl. Injured and exhausted, she doesn't stop until he's out cold. Sam and Will head up to the roof. Viktor is already waiting. As they try to flush him out, they waste their last bullets. Suddenly, Viktor grabs an old spear knocked loose in an earlier blast. He pushes them back and runs for the helicopter. The rotors spin up. Viktor is seconds away from escaping. Sam pauses. He tells Will he has seen all his movies. He even remembers the one where the hero dies to save his brother. It gives them an idea. Sam runs into the open, drawing fire. Will grabs a heavy Cupid statue from a broken pedestal. He hurls it into the spinning blades, which jams the rotor. The helicopter goes down and explodes. The rooftop shakes. Viktor is gone. The fight is over. 2 months later, Sam is back in London. He reconnects with Noel via chat and also grows closer to Will. As a friendly gesture, Sam gives Will 2 tickets to a Harry Styles concert. They sit down at a small cafe and eat fish and chips while reporters gather outside. This is the end of the movie.